Hi everybody, and welcome to another new product showcase for 2021. My name is Dan Boyle, and I'm standing here in our Smithfield manufacturing facility going over one of our really exciting new products for 2021, and that is the DEF Loop system. To look at DEF Loop, you really have to understand where we came from about 15 years ago to understand the necessity of this product. About 15 years ago, whenever DEF was new or new-ish, it mostly meant for retailers and for distributors that they needed to start stocking hundreds, if not thousands, of single-gallon jugs of blue DEF. We've come a long way since then. In fact, in 2008, it became required for all diesel trucks of a certain size to now have DEF tanks and to be burning DEF along with their diesel fluid. And now to this day, we're seeing every major retailer with underground storage systems, or they have retrofitted their site with above ground DEF systems. So we're really excited to expand our Loop product line and bring you the DEF Loop. This comes on the heels of our really exciting high flow DEF that we've seen really good growth with, and we've seen a lot of fuel retailers really cut down on their installation headache and time. So this comes right on the heels of it, and it will actually bolt directly to that. So without further ado, let's check out some of the features, some of the construction, and the benefits for distributors and end users for the DEF Loop. So getting into the features and benefits of our DEF Loop, many of them are going to be very familiar to most people. Anybody who's ever installed or felt the effects, either relief in their pocket from time or the replaceability of our loop system, many of these benefits are going to be the same, except we're really excited to put it in an application that the industry has not yet developed a really seamless tank-to-tank system. The DEF Loop comes in two models. It does support both the high flow Encore and the high flow Ovation. Here we have the Encore version, and here we have the Ovation version. Now there's some obvious differences between the two of them. Obviously they're made by completely different dispenser manufacturers, but we've used what the dispenser manufacturer gave us to make the most intuitive and easy to install plug-and-play DEF system available yet on the market. The first time you ever see a DEF Loop Sump, the first thing you'll notice is its very distinct shape. Just like all of our retail loop and our high flow loop, you'll see that we have the 45 degrees on the bottom and that it is much shorter than your traditional sump. This does share the exact same lines as our high flow line, so when you put them in the trench next to each other, both pipe can be run at the same depth. There's no difference between any of your measuring and cutting. We did that on purpose to, again, ease installation. If you're already going to be running in one trench, why should you have to dig a different depth for your DEF? The next thing you'd notice, just like all of our other loop products, is that whenever you pull this out of the box at the job site, you'll already have your entry fittings, you'll already have your shear valve, your stabilizer bars. Everything will come pre-plumbed and ready to install right out of the box. Anytime we talk about DEF components, it's always important to talk about material compatibility. DEF is very picky about what materials that it wants to work with and what it can come in contact with. So with that in mind, we made sure that our shear valve assembly, as well as any other wetted surface being used in the FlexWorks system, will all be compatible with DEF. To do this, we use our 60V DEF shear valve, and it is mounted on a full stainless assembly and mounted to the stabilizer bar. Also, with the use of this system, it's required that we use our SBC fittings, or our swivel bolt-on couplings. These use a stainless swivel nut that is compatible with E85 DEF, any fluid that can be run through our FlexWorks system, and those are going to be used anytime we use the DEF Loop. As with our other loop products, these come pre-configured. So they'll either come in a junction sump, which means the piping will continue through, or a termination sump, which means that it will dead end on one side. One of the biggest pieces of feedback that we got while looking for information while developing this product was to try and curb some of the installation issues that we had heard had plagued the industry on this side since the inception of DEF systems. And with that, we actually created the removable stainless installation cover. So we'll take a look inside these sumps in just a minute, but we took all of the room that the dispenser manufacturer gave us, whether for Gilbarco or for Wayne, and we maximized the footprint underneath so that you can work that way, but when it's time for the dispenser to go on, that area cannot be open. So we've created a stainless steel removable access panel that the dispenser will sit on that uses a gasket seal to keep all water out. This has been integral in the installation of these pieces, as to get wrenches down on an SBC fitting and those types of things was very, very difficult in the small footprint that has been given in the past. So on the DEF loop, we've maximized what the dispenser manufacturer gave us, and once you're done with all of your installation practice, you can go ahead and install that stainless steel cover with a gasket, bolt it to the sump, and now you know that you will have a watertight environment for the life of this product. And lastly, we can't talk about DEF in most parts of the country without talking about some secondary heat source to keep it from freezing. DEF does have a much lower freeze point, so that's always a concern whenever we're bolting this to a new or existing system. As DEF develops, we've seen two emerging technologies used to accomplish this. We've seen recirculation systems growing in popularity, and we've also seen heat trace cable systems, which wrap the pipe using a heated cable and a thermostat to keep the product and piping at a desired temperature. Using FlexWorks, this should never exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So first we'll start with the 1836 DEF loop. This will fit our high flow 1836 dispenser sump. And I first want to draw your attention to the very wide access area we have here. So we maximize the space under the footprint from Gilbarco of the bolt-on dispenser. Now, you have this much access to work before that dispenser ever gets installed. That'll give you room to bring in your flex pipe through the REF that we have pre-plumbed down or pre-installed down here in the bottom. And you can then put in your SBCs into the stainless Y or elbow, depending on if you have a junction or a termination sump. And that will go in and provide DEF fluid to our shear valve assembly. Again, an all stainless construction with our 60V DEF valve and mounting plate. Once all of the interior stuff, the piping, shear valve connections, all has been done, then you'll go in with our removable stainless access panel with a gasket on the bottom. What this will do for you is will allow you to seal with a gasket the area that is no longer accessible once that dispenser is timed to be set. The access panel is then mounted with 5 welded studs on the bottom of this plate that are secured with a washer and nut on the bottom of our containment sump. All of our 1836 dispenser sumps utilize the same dispenser framing that gets concreted in. And one thing that we've done with the DEF loop is we've gone ahead and incorporated our mounting system to go right onto the frame that is already being used by 1836 and 1535 dispensers across the board. So there's a small hardware kit where these two face together. There will be 2 nuts and bolts that go through, and then a secondary stabilizer plate that sits just on the outside. The beauty of this system is that once the high flow loop has been mounted, no additional mounting must be done for the DEF loop. The DEF loop mounting system will be held entirely by the main diesel sump and requires no additional support to keep it up off the ground, even during hydrostatic testing. And one thing that we made sure to do, whether we're talking about an 1836 or a 1535, is we have maintained all of the conduit area that the manufacturer would give you whenever you put on a bolt-on DEF. So that means that for the 1836, there are no conduit exclusions whenever you bolt on the sump. However, with the 1535, you do lose one side of your conduit accessibility due to how Wayne bolts on their DEF unit. So you can still put the 4 conduit running up the side into the footprint of the dispenser without making any conduit penetrations into your dispenser sump. So I'd like to spend just a couple of minutes explaining the difference between the 1535, which is for the Wayne Ovations, as it applies to the 1836, which we just had to take a look at. So the first thing you'll notice is that we have a very different footprint, which can be expected because we're talking about different dispenser manufacturers. You can see here that on the 1535 we have a little bit smaller area. So there again, we maintained everything the manufacturer gave us and gave you the most working space allowable. You can see that just like the 1836, we're pre-plumbed. The stainless shear valve and everything is directly where it needs to be for the dispenser. But the big difference here is the frame. Now with most of our components, we usually see a frame on 4 sides. On this one, you'll see we have a one piece that has these 2 flanges on the back side. So just like with the 1836, this is going to mount directly to the existing frame of our high flow Ovation. Just like the 1836, we'll put the faces of these 2 pieces directly together, and the hardware kit contained within the sump that will be taped to the bottom of the access panel will give you 2 positions to put right here. Just like the 1836, these are very easily mountable, and they will hold their own weight even when containing water for hydrostatic testing. Second, you'll see that this frame has a very large flange. Whenever Wayne puts their dispenser right over the top of the area that you see here, they actually give you areas to mount that DEF unit directly in the concrete. So we went ahead and gave you the same locations that marry up to the dispenser so that that can be anchored just the same way you would the actual Ovation dispenser. When all work has been finished inside, which is running pipe, tightening your SBCs into the Y or elbow, and connecting your jumper tubes for testing, the last piece that you'll do is you'll install the access panel that we have for the 1535 DEF loop. Once complete, those 4 studs will drop down into pre-drilled holes. You can then use the hardware packet inside the sump to tighten, snug down, compress the gasket, and you'll have a watertight sump for the duration of the life. So as the high flow loop systems continue to gain traction and continue to change the way that installers and end users are looking at their high flow systems, the DEF comes right on the heels and gives them the easy, reliable, high quality, already plumbed out of the box system that they've grown accustomed to and that they are now loving. It bolts directly to. You only have to mount the one sump. All components are DEF compatible, and we have changed and quickened the pace at which all forecourt and high flow systems can now be installed with the retractability and the high quality that customers have come to appreciate. DEF has proven that it is no longer an accessory product to diesel and that it very much demands its own system and has its own requirements. That is why we took on this project, and we are very, very happy with the outcome, and we think you will be too. So we hope you'll keep your eye on us for new and exciting DEF products that are going to continue to change the game.